What's up, guys? I'm gonna give you a quick update video. Last video you saw, we went to the Freedom Factory and we drifted the 3000. That's tucked away. It's ready. It's basically 100% ready for Black Friday at OSW. So we'll be going back to OSW for the Black Friday drift event. It's a 3-day drift event. So finally, I'm gonna get a lot of seat time at an event down here in Florida. So in the meantime, I'm gonna give you a quick update on where we are with the red car and what I've done to the red car. I've tried recording a video to put out, but I feel like I was jumping all over the place, and honestly, it probably just would have been a really boring video. So first off, I have the motor over here. I got the heads torqued. I got Brian Tooley Racing push rods, the valve springs all put back in, and we got them torqued with stock bolts. We got some new sensors and stuff on the engine. All the sensors are brand new: cam, crank, cooling, oil pressure, all that stuff. Next up, with the Drift V, I have the whole front end hung on the car. Now you'll notice I have 5-lug Enkei RS05s on here. I have nicely painted red brakes, and I have my nice refinished knuckles on the car. So that's done. I have this side, you can kind of see the knuckle down in here with the hub and all that jazz. So I have the 5-lug swap done 100% on the front of the car, and then I have one back corner done. I just got to put the knuckle back on and then pull the other knuckle off and just swap the hub. But otherwise the rear is very easy. Got the rotors drilled and all of that. So I went through the whole process of drilling the rotors and getting everything fitted up. Now I have that caliper on there with no pads. My pads and all that stuff just came in. I also put new tie rods on the car. Inners are in a box still, so they got to go on, but I have new outers on. And then under the hood here, I got the front subframe in. So the front subframe got a deep cleaning and it was spotless. There were a couple tiny spots of surface rust, but I sanded them down and painted them with some satin black paint just to match, and we are looking fantastic down here in the engine bay. I got to get that expansion tank back up in there still, but I kind of just mocked everything else up. I mean, this thing is pretty much ready for a motor to go into it at this point. I just need a clutch. I need basically just a clutch, and to finish my transmission project over here with the reverse fork, I still got to buy parts and stuff for that. But the transmission will get done another day. I just want to basically, once the 5-lug swap is done and I have wheels on all 4 corners, I want to get this thing back on the ground and then start working on the next part, which will kind of just be the interior. In the meantime, I'm going to be saving up the money for the clutch, the coilovers, and all that stuff. But I mocked up the black bumper from that car, which is the one I'm replacing because of this crack right here. But I have this freshie that's going to go on. I have to finish the drive shaft project, like I've also mentioned. So I have the stock shaft out of this. I have the exhaust half off of this, but not out from underneath the car. So once this is back on the ground, it'll free up some jack stands. That way I can get this up all the way and wrap that project up pretty quickly. But I have everything mocked up. You can see I have the bash bar mounted up in here. I drilled the holes in the front subframe down there for the lower portion to mount, and everything is pretty much ready to rock. It's all going to come off again. I did realize here that I'm going to have to trim the upper grill piece here in order to fit my like custom little rad support piece, and otherwise, you know, we're in really good shape with all this. You know, just some light trimming of this plastic piece, probably just to follow the curvature, because I don't really use the mounting points here. I kind of just use the tabs here, and then down on the sides. So get that all trimmed up, and the front end's on the car. I got the headlights all back on and everything and plugged back in. I'm Just gonna have to find a spot to put this harness once the rad's in, because this is the harness for all the lights and the ambient air temp sensor and stuff like that. I'm super stoked with how this is going so far, to be honest with you guys. I feel like being able to see wheels on the car, being able to see the front end on the car, it gives me that feeling that, you know, we are getting closer, and I'm super stoked to be getting to that point. Now, obviously, I know that I still have a little ways to go as far as having the money to get the driveline finished up, like with the clutch, having the money to get all the bushings for the suspension, the coilovers, and things like that. But we are making fantastic progress with it all. I am working on a dual caliper setup for the car that is going to be utilizing a base model rear caliper, and what that'll do is provide a cheaper alternative for calipers. I won't have to buy another set of Brembos. I can just buy some really cheap base model calipers, and you can still buy aggressive pads for those. So it gives me the option to have a more budget friendly setup, but also run a true dual caliper setup, because no one makes a dual caliper bracket for this car right now. So buddy of mine is working on cutting or 3D printing a mock-up bracket that I've made. So once that's done, we'll start the test fitting process for that. I have the caliper right here that I've been using with some fresh pads, and it all fits perfectly over the big rotor. Obviously it doesn't go all the way down, but the pad 100% covers most of it, so it should be plenty when it comes to locking up the rear wheels with a dual caliper setup. So I have the rear caliper here, I'll paint it up and load it with some fresh pads, so that'll be ready to go on. I've had stuff coming in from Rock Auto of all the small necessities and things like that, the little odds and ends to wrap things up, like all the engine sensors, brake pads, inner outer tie rods, and things like that. Inside the car, I had the dash just kind of hanging with a couple bolts, but what I'm gonna do is put the dash in and get the center console back in, figure out my radio wiring. I have a little switch panel that's gonna be going in there, and that'll run things like the underglow, the interior lights, the rear tire sprayers that I'm gonna run similar to the 3000, just for, you know, tire life at like fun events and things like that, and any other like things that I'm gonna need. I'm just gonna do a small relay panel with 5 relays. I have 5 switches available to me, and pretty similar to the 3000, except this car I'm not gonna be having like a fuel pump switch and ignition switch. It's all gonna run off the key. I'm gonna have a factory fuel pump, which I can't wait for, no crazy fuel cells and things like that. So once that's all in and figured out, it'll probably just stay in for the meantime. The dash and stuff will have to come back out when I do the cage, but in the meantime, I want to get this car kind of finished before I go for the cage, and be able to like maybe dial it in and do some driving, get it tuned and things like that, just with the stock front seats in. But then after this car is pretty much 100%, 99%, I'll finish that other 1% by getting this thing caged and get the FIA bucket seats in here as well. So I know this is a quick video, but I wanted to give you guys an update because I know it's been a little while since I've shown the DriftV on the channel, and I've just been really busy. We're actually leaving tomorrow for the weekend just to go on vacation with some friends, and I just didn't want to leave you guys hanging on the channel. Wanted to get something up. I know I'm not doing any work on this in this video, but I just been trying to get done what I can when I can, and that's been, you know, the biggest thing for me. But you guys know the deal. Like this video, subscribe to the channel. I promise there'll be some more DriftV content, some Black V content. This thing will finally be back out on the street. I gotta do some reassembly of just the intake here, but this thing, I mean, this thing runs fine. Everything's good to go with it. I just gotta get the drive shaft put in and the exhaust hook back up, and then we should be ready to rip this thing. It's been so long since I've driven this car. I cannot wait to get it back on the street. So once again, thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next one.